The other day, my cousin came up to me and went like, bro, I am so screwed. My exams are in a week and I have 47 lectures to do. Like, what do I do? And what I told him was that 47 lectures is tough, but it's doable, to be honest. Because yes, in this video, I'm going to teach you the simplest, fastest way to study for lectures. But what I really wanted to make clear is that smart, effective studying can be done at any point of the year, whether it's 50 days or 5 days before your exam. And if you do what I tell you, you will guaranteed understand more information and in a better way than if you just read your lectures or made some notes or did questions alone. And how am I this confident? Because a few years ago, I was the guy cramming in the lecture slides at the last minute, trying to listen to them on 2x speed, skim through the slides as much as possible, and it didn't work until I found these techniques, improved them, and applied them to my way of studying, which has now led me to have the ability to go through 3 hours, 4 hours of lectures in a mere 20 minutes. So let's get straight into how I study a lecture. Obviously, we're not watching the whole lecture right now, even if it's on 2x speed. That's too much of a time waste. Download the slides so you can quickly look through them, so you can Command F, filter the information, and make your life easier. And what you need to do, and I've said it before, is that you need to start by creating an initial base for the entire topic, which basically means just breaking the entire topic down, looking at the subtopics, seeing how you can categorize everything in those subtopics, and linking them and finding a memorable way to remember everything. We'll be doing that step by step in steps 1 to 4, and then we'll go through the lectures once, and you will remember in your head. Trust me, this will quarter the amount of time you study. Step 1, skim through one big lecture or 2 to 3 related ones if they're under the same topic. No note taking right now, just skimming. For example, I'm bringing up a pretty heavy lecture. It's on arrhythmias. I'm just going to flick through the slides. Arrhythmias basically are abnormal rhythms of the heart, and they can be broken down, as we can see here, into bradycardias and tachycardias. I'd look up any of the words if I didn't know what they meant as I went through, but in the first few slides I can see that it's just basics about how the heart works and how the electrical signals in the heart conduct. It's going through AV blocks, heart blocks, and then it's categorizing the different tachycardias into different subtypes. And then as we can see, the tachycardias are being divided up into narrow complex and broad complex, and then being listed underneath. I'm going to keep that in mind for later because that's probably a helpful way to categorize the topic. Remember, I need to skim through this all just to get a general gist of it. So what that basically means is that you need to take a very specific note right from the start of how your topics and subtopics are being categorized throughout the slides or throughout multiple lectures even. But overall, what I need to do for this first step, the skimming, I just need to go through everything, which is going to take 5-10 minutes to understand what subtopics I need to learn, what's important, how much information is even on here, do I need more resources? At this point, my second step would be to go watch a video. For most topics, short YouTube videos are a very fast way to get a general gist of what everything is, how it works, what arrhythmias are. For this video I just pulled up, it looks like this guy is explaining them well. He looks like he might be explaining them via location. Like, so he's dividing the arrhythmias up into the different electrical, into where they affect, which part of the electrical pathway of the heart they affect. And that feels like a good way to think about it. And then after finishing this video, what I do is step 3, which ideally should be done while you skim if you want to be ultra efficient. But step 3 involves first writing down all the subtopics and keywords that pop out during the lecture, and second, then categorizing them. Writing down all the subtopics and keywords and categorizing them should be easy after all the skimming and understanding we've just spent doing, like the last 10-15 minutes. For example, I think for these arrhythmias, probably the smartest way to categorize them would be by location in the electrical pathway, like that guy in the YouTube video did. So that's what I do. By categorizing the subtopics, you are forcing your brain to remember what is underneath them. You're way more likely to remember things if you've categorized them, if that makes sense. Now, for example, when I see atrial fibrillation, what I'll think is, okay, supraventricular tachycardia, supra above the ventricles, it is in the first 2 chambers, so it's probably affecting the electrical pathway in that area. And then once you remember this small detail about the atrial fibrillation, one by one your brain will start remembering all the other supraventricular tachycardias and all the associated information with them, their investigations, their treatments. It's all linked. Now that we've categorized all the subtopics and keywords into different sections, and we've thought about a nice way to think about the arrhythmias by location, now what we do to solidify that initial base, to fully create and put it in front of us, is by creating a mind map. And when I say mind map, I don't just mean putting a circle in the middle and have 100 things coming off it. Your job when you're making this mind map is to make it as memorable and as intuitive as possible. For example, we've thought about all the arrhythmias via location, so what we could do in the mind map is actually draw out the electrical pathway of the heart on the mind map and then label the arrhythmias on the pathway. And then after we've labeled the arrhythmias, I'd then draw some of their features out, draw the narrow complex, the broad complex, draw the ECG of each individual arrhythmia, or like some memorable thing to do with it. For example, like AFib, atrial flutter. Atrial flutter could be like a bird, that small diagram on it as well to symbolize the flutter, I don't know. I would try and add as many concepts onto this mind map and see where everything fit. And by putting it on here, I just hope that you see how memorable and easy it is and intuitive the entire topic becomes for you now to learn. Once everything is on here, you literally have every single arrhythmia that could possibly link to a different part of the electrical pathway, and then you can remember it using that in the future. Of course, I picked an easy topic to explain. I've only mentioned the basic classifications of arrhythmias, but you can legit see how every hard concept, whatever it is, investigations, treatments, scans to do with each type of arrhythmia is on the mind map. Everything that links to each of the subtopics can go here, and that makes it so easy for you to remember them. Because you made this mind map, you will remember the entire topic through the categories that you put on here. And now when you think about each arrhythmia, your brain will automatically remember all the details of the arrhythmia because it's all on the mind map. And then through that link, you'll also think about the other categories, the other arrhythmias, and remember those details. Because your thought process has linked them all together so well, you'll think about the others in the same thought. What makes each thing different, what makes it similar, and this applies to every topic. This entire thing will maximum take like 20 to 30 minutes to do per topic. And in this process, you've gone through the entire 90 slide lecture, you've skimmed it, you've watched a video, you've gone through the basics, and you've thought about a solid way to think and link all of these arrhythmias together through a mind map. And that is the benefit of creating that initial mind map, that base, and putting in effort in the skimming. By just spending 30 minutes at the start of your studying of doing this, you've made the rest of your studying piss easy. Now for the rest of the studying. The way that you're going to go through and read through the lectures and all of the topic information is that you're only going to try and read and understand the topics that you can easily take in. I know that may sound counterintuitive, but hear me out. Reading through the information shouldn't be the hard part of the learning, yet we make it super hard for ourselves by trying to force ourselves to read sentences and stick them in our head and memorize them. Your knowledge can only be built in layers, like building blocks. So far by this step, we've already laid a few building blocks as our base while we're doing the skimming, the mind mapping, etc. So now, for example, when you look at these slides, there's some bullet points I can easily link and understand with the features of tachycardia involving the AV node. So this layer of information can easily slide on top of the foundation I've already built. But there's also sub bullet points on here. I can immediately tell that this is above my current level of understanding, so I just ignore it. That is the rule. You can revisit it later once you've gone through more of the slides, once you've understood more information. At that point, it will make more sense to you because you've added more building blocks then to slide that detail on top of. And this is how you should go through all of these slides at this stage, by filtering and only reading the things that you can easily understand at this stage. Basically, don't waste time with the details, just go through the slides, and trust me, it'll be much faster now that you did the skimming and mind mapping in the first place. This isn't really a step per step, but the way I revise is by doing questions. So this means while I study, I need to actually create recall questions. And that is why side by side, while doing step 5 and starting to study the topic, I will convert all the information that needs to be tested and recalled by me and that can be tested on exams into questions on a Word document. I do usually just organize everything that I need to do, all the questions I have, etc. on a Word document, but recently I've tried a very solid note-taking app called Xtiles. These guys recently hit me up to try out their app for note-taking, and as soon as I started using it, the thing that stood out to me was how easy it was to move whatever I want, wherever I want. It's like moving and playing with tiles. I can write out my questions, add images, add tables in whatever configuration looks most aesthetic, or whichever is most memorable for me, and I can make it very quick, which not that many other desktop apps actually allow you to do. As you can see, I made some of the questions from one of my cases on here, out of the learning outcomes, the conditions, diagrams, like exactly where I need them. There's a side column for the weak topics as well. And honestly, note-taking wise, it was very easy to use as well. I didn't need a tutorial or anything. I just got started and figured it all out intuitively. Honestly, no complaints from my end. It's a great app. And other than note-taking, there's so many other templates on here for weekly planning. There's calendars, habit trackers. You can use it for your business, school projects, basically everything you'd need. To try it out, all you need to do is create a free account with Xtiles with the link in my description. So yeah, check it out. Use the link in my description. Use it for class 1 day, for example, and let's get back into the method. The last step, as you could have guessed, is now hitting the details. And what this will involve is now you going through all of the stuff that you skipped out, which you could have either made a note of or whatever, or maybe even actually going to the lecture at this point and going to the slides and listening to what the guy is saying and listening to how he's explaining the details. That actually might be helpful as well. What I also wanted to clarify was that you naturally won't be studying in this like rigid way of only concepts then only the details, like, you know what I mean? Yes, you need to first skim, then create the initial mental model. That is a must. That is very vital for it to happen in those steps. But after that, you basically need to aim to go through the information from your textbook, from your lectures in layers. Keep on processing what you can easily understand until you can finally understand the details, and then taking the details in will be very easy as well. By waiting till you have a solid foundation, by revising each of the stuff in layers in those building blocks and not forcing yourself to jump to the details, you're basically just saving time. Another tip to make it more efficient is that you should try and skim and then create the mind maps from multiple lectures that I have like are related topics. That way you're laying the base for all of these related topics, and then you can one by one build on the layers for all of them together. But anyways, that is how I process lectures step by step. This is everything. This is how I go through them. The method gets faster and faster the more you do it, and it will quarter the amount of time you take to go through each lecture. Once you start strictly skimming first, building the initial base, the mind map, I honestly did it like once or twice, and I started to see humongous differences with the amount of I was able to remember. Anyways, check Xtiles out for a great fluid note-taking app. Use the link in my description. I'll get a little bit of kickback if you sign up for this stuff. I'm gonna link my live studying series where I basically live go through how I do the whole layering thing and how I do step 5 in a lot more detail. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions about the whole method. Again, it's not like my method. I've just taken it from other people, combined it with how I do it, and like improved it over time. So I think it's a very doable for the general population or anyone as well, because it's just a smart way to go through lectures rather than going through slide by slide, one by one. Check my Insta out, leave a like, spam the comments, do all the usual stuff, and I will see you in the next one.